Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to my first ever Pokemon X and Y narrated Wi-Fi battle video. It's been a little while since I've obviously narrated a battle, but it's good to come back with 6th Gen, and I've been having a blast playing with the 6th Gen Pokemon over Wi-Fi so far. This battle took place on my stream yesterday against an opponent by the name of Ange, and it was a ton of fun. To talk about my team a little bit, I am using a Greninja with Spikes and a Life Orb for some added power, a Florges, which is my specially defensive wall, a Aegislash, which is kind of like my middle all-around wall, a Noivern, which is my kind of Specs attacker for dragon moves and stuff like that, and I have Specs Draco meters on this thing, along with U-turn for some scouting. I have a Scarfed Dedenne and a physically defensive Furfrou to fully take advantage of its ability Fur Coat, and it's also a Resto Chesto variant to allow me to get some recovery. Whereas my opponent also decided to bring a Greninja, but along with that brought an Alakazam, a Charizard, a Lucario, a Gardevoir, and a Tyranium. Many of these Pokemon on my opponent's team could potentially Mega Evolve, so we don't really know for sure. But let's just jump into it right now. So to start things off, I decided to lead off by Greninja, as my opponent decided to lead off with her Tyranium. Now because Greninja can typically pack Ice Beam, I figured my opponent would actually switch out first turn, so I decided to go for the U-turn. Fortunately, she does not. I get a crit, which is really nice, but I U-turn out into my Furfrou right here, knowing that I could potentially take any physical hit that this Tyranium might want to go for. Instead, she decides to set up Stealth Rock first turn, which is a very good play. But knowing that obviously I can take any hit, I decided to stay in, go for the T-Wave, because I can paralyze this thing to cripple it from doing any real significant damage to any of my other Pokemon later in the battle. I do have a couple of Slowpokes on this team, so paralyzing anything is really good. But I decided to switch out right here into my Aegislash, knowing I could take any physical hit as well. I assumed he wasn't going to go for Earthquake right there because it's just not the strongest move. Obviously, Dragon Tail and Rock Slide are stronger than Earthquake because of Stab. But unfortunately for me, my opponent actually has a Quick Claw, which activates and does some super effective damage. Luckily though, it actually did activate before I stance changed, and I actually predicted her to switch right here because I would have easily been able to take it out with an Iron Head. Unfortunately though, she decided to just sacrifice it, so 2 Shadow Claws is actually going to be able to take down this Tyranium rather easily as I gain some more health back from my leftovers. But she decides to now bring in her Charizard, and I do not want to stay in to take a fire move from that, so I decided to switch out into my Florges, which is essentially the special wall of my team as I said before. I know I could take any special hit from this guy, as you see that Flamethrower only did around 40 points of damage, but this turns out to be a mixed Charizard, also packing Flare Blitz, which took me completely off guard. That did way the hell more damage than I was expecting to take that turn, because I thought Flamethrower was going to be like the strongest move she was going to go for, but luckily though, I do have a Citrus Berry. It doesn't really come into play too often on this Florges. I'd really need to figure out a better item for it, because I can't have 2 leftovers because I don't own 2 leftovers. But I decided to just go for a Wish Protect right there to get up some health to try and take another Flare Blitz. I do that pretty nicely, and just go for a Moonblast to get off some good damage. I actually forgot that fire resisted Fairy right here, so that was a stupid move on my part. I do another stupid thing with types later in the battle, but luckily for me, I actually get a special attack drop, which is going to be very important because as I switch into my Furfrou, now that it does have the special attack drop, I can now feasibly take both physical and special hits from this thing, which is really nice. But he just goes for the Fly because LOL, it's like an in-game Pokemon because nobody is really breeding or doing any of that kind of stuff just yet. But it doesn't do too much damage, as you see, just to kind of fully show the capabilities of the Fur Coat ability. I really love this Pokemon. I think it's really awesome. But I decided to just go for the Thunder Wave right here to paralyze this Gardevoir. Potentially could be Mega Gardevoir, as you see right here. It confirms that. I somehow live a Dazzling Gleam and don't know how that happened, but I actually went for the Rest right here, which unfortunately sucks because I get the full paralysis as the opponent takes me down with a Moonblast. But honestly, I should have died anyway because she should have just went for Moonblast, so that really didn't matter at all. I should have just died to begin with, but knowing that she is now paralyzed, I can easily bring in my Aegislash right here, switch into Blade Form, and go for the Iron Head, which is going to one-shot this Gardevoir. This is more of a defensive Aegislash, so this kind of just shows the power of this Pokemon, even when you're running a defensive set, and the support that you can get from paralyzing other Poke, like I was able to with my Furfrou to paralyze the Gardevoir. But I decided to actually stay in here as she brings in her Alakazam. I go for the shield, the King Shield, to just check to see if she had Shadow Ball on this thing, and now knowing that she does, I decided to just switch right out into my Florges. I pretty much brought this in to die. He goes for a Thunder Wave though, so if I actually stayed in, I could have potentially I could have potentially took her Alakazam out with a Shadow Claw if I just decided to stay in randomly. But I'm easily going to go down right here, so my Florges is going to be KO'd. However, this gives me a perfect opportunity to switch into my Greninja right here. I know Greninja actually outspeeds Alakazam. That is one of like the base stats that are currently calculated, which is really great. I do have a Jolly one. I don't know if it's max IVs, but I was just assuming I was going to be faster. So I go for the U-turn in case she wanted to switch out. Luckily though, she doesn't, and I just take it out right there, which is really good either way. But I do bring in my Noivern right here. Unfortunately, this thing has a really bad HP number, and I am debating on super training it completely again just to fix that. But I decide to switch out right now into my my Aegislash to take the predicted Ice Beam. Gets a crit, which doesn't even do that much damage, just to kind of show you how defensive this Pokemon can be. Decided to go for the King's Shield right here. Maybe she has Night Slash over Dark Pulse. I don't really know, but I decided to check. Turns out she decides to go for the Acrobatics instead. Probably doesn't even have a Dark move. It does show me in a second that she does have Water Pulse, so I'm not really sure why she was going for that, but I go for a Toxic right here, because I obviously don't have any way to really damage this Pokemon, because both of my Stab, which is Iron Head, and Shadow Claw are resisted by Greninja because it is a Water Dark type. But goes for the Water Pulse right here, still doesn't do too much damage, honestly, so it really doesn't matter, and I just switch into Blade Form, go for the Shadow Claw, and then proceed to get a crit right there, which is actually the main reason why I went for Shadow Claw over Iron Head. I was like, maybe I can get a crit because there is an increased crit chance, but rather than stay in here and Toxic Stall all day, because that's pretty boring, rather than go for the King's Shield, decided to switch out into my Dedenne right here, knowing I could take probably any hit from this thing. I also do resist a Dark move if it just decided to go for one there and was kind of hiding it or something like that, but goes for the Water Pulse, gets the Confusion, which made me nervous for a second because I thought I was going to hit myself right here. Luckily though, I just am able to go for a Thunderbolt, take out this Greninja, which is really good. As I said, I was Scarfed, so I am going to be outspeeding that Pokemon, even though naturally Greninja should outspeed Dedenne. But it brings in Lucario right here, and not wanting to take a move to, obviously, because Dedenne doesn't really have that great defenses, as many of you may know, decided to switch out into my Aegislash right here. Doesn't really have anything, though, as you see, to really hurt my Aegislash. I was kind of hoping that she didn't have Crunch, and as you're going to see in a second, it turns out that she actually does not. But honestly, that was the other mistake of the game. I go for the Iron Head instead of the, Shadow Claw, because I forgot that Steel no longer resists Ghost. That was another mistake, so this was kind of a learning experience. This is the first battle I had, but goes for the Bone Rush right here. Gets possibly the worst luck in the world by getting a 2-turn, even though one of them was a crit, so it's technically a 3-turn. I somehow live with 2 HP, and then I'm able to finally go for the Shadow Claw, which I should have done last time, on the final turn of the game, take out this Lucario, giving me the victory in the battle. So that was it for this video, everybody, so thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed my first dive into 6th Gen Wi-Fi battling. Everything is automatically set to level 50, so I think that's what's going to happen for the most part, because it takes a while to EV train or to level up everything to 100, but I don't really know what the standard will be in the future. But everything being at 50 honestly works. It's really not that big of a difference from things being at level 100. There aren't too big of like stat differences and everything like that. And if things are over leveled, like if something's level 60, it'll get brought down to 50, and if something's level 30, it'll get brought up to 50, which is really nice. So you don't even have to really worry about, once you have the EVs and the moves you want for your Pokemon, you're pretty much good to go. But anyways, as I said, this is it for this video, everybody, so thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.